A crush of cameras today outside this California courthouse.
How you feeling?
All eyes on the 24-year-old accused of a tragedy that claimed the lives of 4 young Pepperdine University students. Fraser Michael Bohm, charged with their murder, is flanked by his family and his high-powered attorney.
Are you hoping to get the murder charge dropped to felony manslaughter?
That's why we're here today.
This motion before the court is the latest in the case that has continued to torment the victims' families and friends.
I still feel pain, but that kind of pain is something that you can't even imagine, something that you can't even put into words.
The Pacific Coast Highway, or PCH, runs along the ocean in Malibu, California, home to surfers, celebrities, and multi-million-dollar homes. The Pacific Coast Highway, and what some call Dead Man's Curve in particular, has long been decried as dangerous. Since 2014, at least 61 people have died on the 21-mile stretch of the highway that runs through Malibu, which includes Dead Man's Curve. In 2024, the mayor of Malibu announcing a task force to combat the issue.
We need to really talk about Malibu and PCH.
Since the accident, I had a person driving 112, the car was impounded, person driving 109, 18 years old, unlicensed driver, another person driving 107.
In 2015, Caitlyn Jenner was involved in an accident that resulted in 1 fatality. Jenner was not charged. This notorious stretch of road chronicled in the documentary 21 Miles in Malibu.
This road was never meant to handle that many people.
This is going to end badly.
The film, produced by Michelle Shane, whose daughter Emily was struck and killed on the PCH when she was 13 years old.
She was a really good kid. She was a sweet, kind person who didn't have a mean bone in her body.
I remember when I first moved out here, and I was a freshman at Pepperdine, the one thing they sort of tell you is, be careful of PCH. Don't speed, don't run across it, even be careful using pedestrian walks, don't go on the sidewalk. They're very cautious of it.
Seniors Asha Weir, Deslyn Williams, Niahm Rolston, and Peyton Stewart were killed instantly when a BMW plowed into them along the stretch of the infamous highway at 8:30 p.m. on October 17, 2023.
As soon as it happened, I knew exactly what it was, car accident.
The damage was incredible. The debris pattern was all over the streets. It was the worst thing I've ever seen in 7 years of working in Malibu and responding to accidents on PCH.
Bridget Thompson lost 4 of her sorority sisters, best friends, and roommates that night.
It's heartbreaking. It's hard knowing that my friend's life stopped in that moment at the hands of him.
Prosecutors say the car, driven by then 22-year-old Fraser Bohm, was speeding at more than 100 miles per hour on Dead Man's Curve. The speed limit was 45. This home security footage shows the car flying by seconds before the crash.
It was avoidable. Speed was the issue.
Now he's been charged with 4 counts of murder and 4 counts of vehicular manslaughter. He's pleaded not guilty and was released on a $4 million bail.
It's disappointing to know that he's walking free and they got their lives stolen from them, and their families have empty chairs at their tables, and their families have to live with this every single day.
The victims' families are also suing in civil court.
I do believe that he's being charged in the proper way. I trust the prosecution in that, and I do believe that there's consequences for your actions, and this can set a precedent for the future.
What he was doing was dangerous, and he is coming up with excuses as to why the collision occurred.
Prosecutors arguing that Bohm's extreme indifference to human life warrants the charges.
He's been charged with 4 counts of what are known as implied malice murder. It is often applied to traffic accidents, most commonly DUI cases, but you also have speed contest cases with these, 2 fast and furious young guys with fins on their cars will engage in racing. What's interesting about this case is there's no allegation that Mr. Bohm was under the influence of drugs or alcohol.
Speed cannot be treated as malice.
Bohm is being represented by renowned LA defense attorney Alan Jackson.
Fraser Bohm has never been and will never ever be a murderer. He did not intentionally or with any kind of an implied malice take any lives. This was a tragedy. It's a tragic accident.
Jackson is no stranger to high-profile cases. representing disgraced Hollywood titan Harvey Weinstein, and successfully defending Karen Reed after she was charged with murdering her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, the case becoming a media frenzy in the Boston area.
It was corrupted by a lead investigator whose misconduct infected every single part of this case.
In his latest case, Jackson says Bohm was trying to get away from another driver that he viewed as a threat.
He was being harassed on the road. All the evidence points to it, and we intend to show that to the jury, too.
Jackson also arguing in court to have the murder charges dismissed.
The law demands that the murder counts be dismissed so that this case can proceed on the proper charges. The charges the evidence actually supports.
On one hand, the jury is going to see this young man who made a horrific mistake and is on trial for his life. On the other hand, this is a very well-considered, well-thought-out prosecution that I believe is properly charged the way they did it.
Bohm had no passengers with him, and neither drugs nor alcohol was a factor, according to authorities and his attorneys. For Bridget Thompson, that October evening 2 years ago started out like a typical college night out. Just minutes away from meeting her friends, she gets stuck in traffic.
There's a huge accident outside, and all their locations are here, but they're nowhere to be seen. So I called all of them, and none of them answered.
The death shaking the entire Pepperdine community.
The following day after the accident, none of us went to work or did anything. We just stayed with each other, and then Pepperdine, opened its arms to our community, and there was a wake. That night we were one. We were all one, just praying and worshiping and just being together.
In court today, the judge denying the defense's motion to dismiss the murder charges against him. If convicted of murder, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. Bridget wants her friends to be remembered.
I take them with me wherever I go every single day. I think I'm a different person than I was before I met them. They changed me for the better.
We will continue to follow this story as the case unfolds.